Okay, we are recording. So great. Well, thanks for joining us today. My name is Casey O'Brien. I'm the Executive Director and Principal Investigator of the National CyberWatch Center, and I'm going to be moderating today's fourth topic in our 2014 webinar series. It's a look at SecondLife and some of the benefits to our members of using SecondLife. And our panelist today is going to be Dr. Margaret Leary from Northern Virginia Community College. And I will turn it over to Margaret. Just quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll go through some of the just logistics of the webinar series. And then, Margaret, we can hand the baton back to you to take over. How's that sound?
That sounds good. Thanks, Casey. I am the current Director of Curriculum for the National CyberWatch Center. I've been involved with CyberWatch for the past 8 years, and a part of that is being an advocate for developing a SecondLife island that we'll look at as a member benefit, which we offer freely to our members. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to put some information out there on it. So, Casey?
Great. So just quickly, our next webinar will be roughly a month from now. We hold the webinar series it's the last Friday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and the next topic is going to be led by Dr. Leary, and it's going to be a look at the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework version 2.0, or what some people incorrectly refer to as the National Institute of Standards and Technology National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education framework, or the NIST-NICE framework. And so Margaret will be taking a deep dive and a look at that and how that may or may not affect your programs, students, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have any questions during the presentation, the webinar, you can raise your hand within WebEx, or you can use the chat feature, and we'll leave time after each slide is completed to ask questions and answer those. If you have any problems during the webinar, you can send an email to O'Brien, COBRIEN @cyberwatchcenter.org. And once Margaret gets going, I'll post that email in the chat feature of WebEx. So without further ado, it's all yours, Margaret.
All right. Well, thank you. As I mentioned, this is a resource that we've had now for about 2 or 3 years, and we've used it, I wouldn't say rather extensively, but quite a bit to do faculty professional development in. So many of our members are already familiar with it from the perspective of a delivery platform, but we have some other benefits that folks may want to be aware of. And on this, I just pose some questions I'm not so certain that folks who aren't users in this space are aware of, but there are hundreds of colleges and universities present in SecondLife, as well as companies such as IBM, ESPN, and other organizations. And it even has its own currency with an exchange rate. It has a Linden dollar. It's a platform. It's a 3D networking platform. I won't call it a gaming platform because although there are some islands that folks purchase and build, in order to build games on, and you see a lot of fun houses. I was talking to Portia earlier around Halloween. There's some nice fun houses your avatar can go to, and amusement parks and all, virtual amusement parks. But it's much more than that. It's more of a social networking in this 3D environment, and so it's got an economy. It has a currency. It was developed by Linden Labs, who actually also, of course, some of the principals in that developed real audio, real video, and so it's quite a rich interface with regard to the graphics it uses. There are real-world millionaires who have actually become rich developing property in world. Initially, early on, in fact, we saw casinos. They had some casinos, and you could actually purchase Linden dollars. And I believe right now the currency rate is $1 one U.S. dollar will get you about 300 Linden dollars. And so people would go gamble with their Linden dollars and then convert them back, sell them back. And so that was quickly, I think ATF stepped in and put a stop to that. But, there are folks that have done quite a lot of innovative and creative work within SecondLife, and leading that are a lot of the universities. And so one of our goals with this was that it could be quite expensive to develop an island and to maintain that island. We get an academic discount for it, but still even that sometimes can be cost prohibitive to smaller colleges. So what we've done is we purchased an island. We had it developed. We have buildings on it. And we offer this freely to our members to use to teach classes out of and to do professional development, host job fairs, et cetera. So we'll take a look at some of these shared resources that faculty may want to leverage. So Casey, yeah, there we go. Thank you. This is just a brief snapshot here of our CyberWatch island. We have two buildings, and on the left that you see here is our education center, and then we have a meeting center on the right-hand side that some of our advisory board or others can take advantage of to host meetings. These buildings tend to be private buildings at the moment, and that is because they do host virtual classrooms, and you just don't want people from the street, walking into a classroom that you're trying to conduct. In our public area where we have our public auditorium, you'll see that shortly. I know that I was teaching the CISSP prep in there a number of months ago, and I had an individual come in who was actually quite interested in security, but he had no connection to academia or anything. Of course, we welcomed him in. But anyway, so we have different spaces for different needs, and again, some of the roles or some of the functions within here, you are able to host virtual job fair. I'm actually working with an individual right now, and I'm hoping to be able to sponsor something within the August timeframe in this area here. We have the private classroom space that I'll show you, a public auditorium that would be, we've used this for security awareness presentations. You can also do it, use it for any type of student papers or activities of that nature. And SecondLife has a good dissemination vehicle where they can advertise this to the SecondLife residents at large, if you want to open it up here. One of the things that I like about SecondLife, however, is this ability to develop simulated environments. There are other types of 3D worlds that are a little bit more restricted than that. However, there is a scripting language unique to SecondLife that allows you to create scenarios. And so I'll briefly show you some of those scenarios one of the scenarios that we have set up in plans for another one here. And then just in general, it makes for sort of a rich environment for students to meet and collaborate on projects together in this remote environment. Rather than staring at PowerPoint slides or in Blackboard Collaborate, they can actually have their avatars meet online to work on group projects. So Casey, if you want to change slides. So here's just an example of a couple of our classrooms here. I've typically taught in the one on the left here. What I tend to use, in my face-to-face classes, I often will have students who might not be able to make it because they've got to stay home with the kids or some other reason. So I actually run sort of a hybrid model where out of my classroom, I will regularly use, I'll use the media projector here within SecondLife to present my slides out of. And so students in class can be connected then with the folks also because they'll see their avatars attending remotely, and everybody's on the same page and contribute with questions, et cetera, here. And there are quite a bit of studies of this environment, and these generally have demonstrated that you have more of a sense of actually being, in class with your peers, and more of a sense of presence than you have with just a regular, WebEx or other type of presentation model. In fact, they've done some studies, and one that I always find interesting is that drinking a beer at a virtual bar in SecondLife actually causes some brain chemistry changes similar to that of drinking a real beer at a real bar. So that we can't underestimate that sense of actually being in a location where this content is being taught. One of my goals here, and I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty accomplishing this, but I still think it's doable, is to add virtual PCs here. These media presenters and some of the PCs that I have that I'm playing with here in SecondLife environment have the capability to access browser-based content. We can show YouTube videos, et cetera, out of it. And so using maybe some labs such as Matilda and that Hackney runs, being able to have the student's avatar virtually perform these labs so that you have a one-stop shop where we can not only deliver the content on the presentation screen, but also students don't have to leave this environment in order to switch platforms to do their work. They'll have a PC in front of them, and they can actually just go to that PC and then execute their lab. So, next, Stacey. We've hosted quite a lot of our faculty professional development. Some of this has been hosted entirely within SecondLife. For instance, I have the CISSP Prep course that's coming up. It's a 6-week boot camp beginning April 28th through June 2nd from 6 to 9 on Monday evening. This fills actually quite quickly, so I have no more room available here, but may run another one in the fall. I have right now 32 faculty and then also 12 teachers in there. But we've also run some brown bag lunches out of SecondLife, which is an opportunity to also get some of our maybe our industry and government folks engaged in current topics. We did this on wireless and cloud security. We've had a hybrid again where we've had face-to-face classes that were also simultaneously broadcast to members who couldn't make it within SecondLife. And it was interesting when we did the certified disaster recovery, the EC Council cert that you see up here. We had many of our attendees that were actually present in the classroom wound up by the end of the week attending via SecondLife. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic here. But, this is available to our members. It's not something that we exclusively have to lead and produce. If faculty would like to request or perhaps propose faculty professional development training, we're open to considering that. So, it can be used for private training as well. We've had some folks ask us, can they sort of rent our facilities to be able to use it for training purposes remotely, and so certainly that would be possible. So, Casey? And at any time, if anyone has any questions, just, please chime in here. So, one of the things that I really like about this is that this really connects with students. The students enjoy the richness of the environment, and they overwhelmingly are very positive about this as a learning tool. And so in October, we presented an opportunity for students to do their own Security Awareness Month briefings. And we'll do this, again, this next October. There's also Privacy Day, of course, in January. And again, this is an opportunity. This is our public auditorium space that you see here. So in contrast to the private area, which if you were a member of the general public, you would not be able to access the private area until we can set you up, add your avatar to our account. Here you can come in and go out, and there's no tracking. So this is a good way of getting the public actually in for these Security Awareness Day topics. We posted some of these Security Awareness Month presentations that students did. You see them listed here. We had good representation from students around the country here. We've posted these up onto our CyberWatch YouTube channel here. And so this is this is a good project for the students, and I'm hoping that other members get a lot out of this as well. So, Casey? This is what I was talking about when I mentioned the ability to create simulated environments that you can then use for exercises. Actually, at Nova has an island as well, and that's where I'd started what I call my comm center shack. There's one at Nova that's sort of a backup to this, but Nova actually also has a very rich environment that they use for biology faculty across the country. And they will typically, within a single semester, have about 400 students that come in, and they have different areas that students go to do different exercises. And this is something very similar to that. This I got out of one of the security assessments I was doing for an agency that shall remain nameless on their voice over IP system. And I realized at the time that there was a lack of knowledge of the operational personnel in basic security concepts, because we're dragging in this digital device, hooking it up to the network and their phone system, and of course, they're all analog people. And so out of that, I thought, I'm going to use SecondLife to be able to create this environment that students can actually go into and learn how to do a security assessment against. So, in the top view here, you see the students can go dumpster diving, and then by clicking on each of these objects, they can look and determine what the contents are here. And then, of course, so you see that in addition to yesterday's launch in the dumpster, you also see some inventory records and server IP addresses, documents that, of course, would give a hacker a lot of information on your system architecture. Down at the bottom, you go into the door, and you see the different server racks. If you touch these, you'll have firewalls, you'll have a SQL server, you have a VoIP gateway, and you have, obviously, your backups are stored in a rather unsecured file cabinet. But anyway, students can then assess the passwords of the domain controller. They can assess the services that are running, that are listed in here. They can look at if they're good, they can look at the subnets at which the administrator who's over here surfing the web on a YouTube video, and note that there's no separation, there's no segmentation within the networks between the data network and the VoIP network, as there is supposed to be in a government agency. And I'll show you how they're supposed to know that, by the way. But you'll also see that they have rule sets, and if you look, you can, discern that the administrator is over here. They've opened up a port so he can play workout through the firewall. So anyway, this is, I actually took a group of my Georgia Mason students through this, and they loved it. They did a really good job. I thought, because a lot of this is a physical security. I've got, for instance, a Class A fire extinguisher on the wall instead of Class C fire extinguisher. And I was really surprised that they were able to get a significant number of these findings. And so, Casey, if you want to flip to the next slide. You see here, this is a part of this voice over IP audit exercise where they're provided with a list that is largely derived from a STIG and some other guidance here. The STIG is the government's security technical implementation guideline. And so they're asked to do a check here and look for these items here. And so you see, in their column to write whether it's a finding or not reviewed, et cetera. And then you have the reviewer comments as well, their comments with that. And so we provide both the audit exercise to faculty, we can set the sandbox up so that students can go in at any time that they want and execute the audit. And then, of course, we provide the answers, because that would be embarrassing if your faculty don't quite know what they're looking for, which happens all the time, I know, to all of us. But anyway, the other thing, too, with that area is that is a sandbox that was developed so students can actually create and they can build within the sandbox. And many times this is an opportunity, too, for students to innovate and then turn around and sell those innovations. SecondLife has an active marketplace. In fact, many of the items that you see in my shack, if you would, are actually purchased from the marketplace. The dumpster, as an example, I purchased. You can, at $1 to every 300 Linden dollars, you can actually be a millionaire for very little money, and it allows you to purchase a lot of devices. This is still a work in progress with the comm room that you saw for this audit exercise. I still would like to build some more physical security checks within there. I'd like to build out a wireless network as well that the student can audit too. So, any faculty who would like to get engaged and maybe get some students engaged on doing some of that development, we'd welcome that opportunity. So, next. All right, so just, again, future plans would be to expand the concept of the simulated exercises to be able to develop a security operations center. One of the nice things about SecondLife is the ability to stream live data. And so, and even to stream data from any type of other source. So as an example, be able to build a security operations center that has alerts coming in and also the ability to train students to recognize attack signatures within packets using Wireshark, et cetera. And so that's sort of next on the agenda. Obviously, expanding more student activities as they've proven to be very popular with students, and hosting the job fair that we talked about in August 2014. And I would also encourage faculty to be watching for our announcement when we do our Security Awareness Month, because we typically do offer small stipends to students who do their presentations, and then, in turn we make these available to our members. So I think that's it. Casey, did you want to see if there's any, yeah, there we go. So any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you for attending.
And be sure to go ahead. I'm sorry, Margaret. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was just going to say thank you for attending. And Casey, go ahead.
Thank you. And just be sure to check your inbox for future webinar invitations and links to today's recording. We will be, let me pull up a browser real quick. So if you go to the CyberWatch website, which is cyberwatchcenter.org, on the upper right-hand side under projects is webinar series link, and we will be posting the slides are already posted, and we'll be posting a link to the recorded version of this webinar. It goes up on the CyberWatch YouTube channel. It's accessible from this page here. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care.